Hi, this is Chet Udell, and I'm going to demonstrate the next tool called the eMotion Switchblade. And this clearly demonstrates how profound eMotion can be for controlling just about anything. So this is my eMotion Switchblade module right here. It's a nice, pretty little interface. I also have a blank digital data workstation. I have also my serial input that is reading in all of my data. And as you can see, I have two eMotion eMotes loaded up here. The first one is the Discover 7, and it's this little thingy here. And I have a couple sensors attached to it, force sensitive resistor and a bend sensor. But it's also reading my X, Y, and Z data. So as I tilt it up, second track moves up and down. As I tilt it side to side, the top track moves up and down, and then the Z-axis, of course, is my third, so I can give it a little jump. This will be useful because I'm going to also be controlling a video game. This is my pressure sensor. I'm squeezing, track 4 is pulsating up and down. This is my bend sensor, and I'm just moving that around as well. So. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on with, I also have a eMotion twist, and that is currently working right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control a video game, notably Portal. And we all know this game. You get to move around, get to jump, get to pick up items. For example, this coffee cup here. Set that nicely back down on the table. Oops. My bad. Alright, so how can we control a video game with eMotion? Check this out. I'm going to create a new data track. And I want the y-axis filtered here, so as I'm tilting my my accelerate back and forth from side to side here. As I rock it from side to side, I want to control strafing left and right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hit rescale. I'm going to detect a threshold, and I want, according to the data, here. Let's try it again. As I move over to the left, the numbers get higher. As I move to the right, the numbers get lower. So I'm going to detect when I cross 0.7 and go back to 0.6. And what this is going to do is going to give me a 1 as I tilt to the left, and then a 0 as I tilt back to the center. That's what I like there. And this is going to control my left strafe, which happens to be the letter A on the keypad. And you can use lowercase or capital, it doesn't matter. And remember to set your output to Switchblade key. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for, make sure that this is a filt. Make sure this is a filt. So this is the same thing, except I want to detect a tilt to the right. So I'm just going to do threshold detect. This is as numbers go down, so I'm guessing a crossing of 0.3 is good. Or 0.4. Yeah, and 0.3 is good for falling. And I want you to notice something. It's giving me a true, as it's not reading my tilt to right, like the numbers are backwards. So I just click invert, and now it's going to give me a 1 when I tilt to the right. Track 1 will give me a 1 when I tilt to the left. This is perfect. The key for the left is D, and I'm just going to do capital D so you can see it doesn't matter what key or what case sensitive I have. Both of these are going to Switchblade key. And the eMotion Switchblade needs to be active, which is this thing here. And if you want a list of key names that it takes, just click on Open List of Key Names and scroll through. there are very valuable things here like space, tab, delete, return, all kinds of things. So next, let's go ahead and go back to our game, and I'm just going to tilt this to the left and to the right. That seems to be working just fine. And that's just by tilting it left and right. So it would be awesome to also add some up and down. Well, which axis is up and down? Well, let's take a look. To the AutoGen, open up my Discover 7. And the data track that's reading up and down is channel B. So I'm going to go ahead and create a couple channel B tracks here. So this is B filtered data. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to detect rising and falling. Go dot 7 to connect 6. And let's go ahead and see. That would be a backwards motion. So now it's 1 when I move back. And the back button is S for strafing, or back strafe. And then my forward is I'm going to detect 4, 0.3, invert. And this is going to be, I shall detect. Got back, now I got forward, and that's going to be a W. I got W for forward, and S for backwards. Okay, and now let's make sure that, I'm just going to go back to the video game, make sure that forward and back work. Perfect. And side to side. Now wouldn't it be awesome if I can get my person to jump by simply bobbing it up and down like this, just giving it a sharp upward motion, and that'll get my person to jump. So that's very easy to do. The Z axis on my accelerometer is channel C filter, and I want you to notice when I do a jumping motion that the data sort of does a very sharp sort of downward articulation here. So I'm going to go ahead and detect that. So rising, I want it when it's back up to like about 0.7. Falling, I want it to trigger it around 0.5 or 0.6. And so let's see what happens. And I want you to notice that the data is backwards. It's giving me a 1 all the time. It should give me pretty sensitive. So now I'm going to invert it. And now it's 0, and when I make the leaping motion, it does a 1. Perfect. So what is the jump? It's spacebar. And how do I know what to type in? Well, check it out. I'm going to go to the eMotion Switchblade, open up the list, and I want you to see that space is noted right here in the list. It's all caps, so I'm just going to go ahead and do all caps, me as well. Oops. Okay. Now that's going to send a spacebar to key. Alright, let's go back to our video game and see what happens. Not bad. And so I can run and leap forward. Pretty sweet. Alright, now it would be, I'm still turning my head using my trackpad. And it would be great to use the twist to turn my head in addition to moving left and right and jumping. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. So I want you to know that I am using the twist to strafe back and forth, but I would like to be able to pick objects up as well. So let's go ahead and map my force sensitive resistor here. to the key E, which happens to be to pick something up in the video game. So this happens to be plugged into track E filter. As I squeeze the force sensitive resistor, you can see that that is pulsating up and down. So I'm going to detect a threshold arising of, let's give it a 0.5, let's give it a 0.3. Let's detect that. And so now, as I squeeze, I'm going to get 1 or 0, depending on if it's crossed that threshold. I'm going to map this to the letter E. Remember, it's not case sensitive. So, there we go. Now, let's go back to the game. And it's very easy. So I'm going to walk up to this radio. I'm going to squeeze my resistor. And we got it. Pretty sweet. Alright, so let's go ahead and map our eMotion twist to the head rotation. So here's what the eMotion twist looks like. Remember, it gives me full 360-degree orientation of my movements. So very, very mappable onto your headspace, right? So let's go ahead and bring that on over. So got 2 more tracks. I'm going to map Euler X for a side-to-side motion. I want you to notice I'm getting -1 to +1, and this is the range that you want. I'm going to map this onto mouse X, right? I want you to notice that as I'm tilting my... Now, a brief word of caution here, you are now controlling your mouse, so you can see on the screen, so not only are you controlling the video game, you're controlling all the periphery on a computer, so it's pretty crazy. I'm going to use Euler Y to do my up and down headspace. So now I have Y going up and down. And now this is still this is just in demo mode. You actually have to enable the mouse on the Switchblade in order for it to fully control the mouse. So I'll just show you that here. Where's eMotion Switchblade? Here we go. All right. So eMotion Switchblade, I'm going to go ahead and put a stop to this scrolling thing. I'm going to turn the mouse on. You can also use the space bar. This is very useful because you want to be able to turn this thing on and off. Quick note though, remember if I make a little leaping motion, I will actually emulate a space bar move. So I'm just going to make a little leaping motion with my twist, or with my accelerate. So here we go. Oops. It's not liking that at all. There we go. Made a little leaping motion. And it turned it on. Great. Now I'll go back to my video game. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, trippy. Now it's a little jittery because I'm not only running a video game, but I'm also screen recording, and this is not the fastest computer. So it's a little jittery. But let's go ahead and move through the maze. As you can see, it's very smooth. Alright. And that is the eMotion Switchblade controlling, partially at least, Portal using eMotion eMotes. Pretty crazy. So that's Chet Udell signing off.